If someone tells you who they are, believe them. When I was 17, my sister Vicky told me,
"Ever since you were born, I've hated you. Dad always pays attention to you. You've always been Dad's favorite. I hate you with your blonde hair and no freckles. Johnny has agreed to help me ruin you. You'll see. I have people who will help me come after you, and any kid you have, I will make you pay."
I didn't believe her at that time. I told her she was crazy. People wouldn't actually help her target me and my children for the rest of my life. I knew nothing about covens, and I didn't know about her involvement in them. Welcome to Cosflip USA, the channel dedicated to exposing the vile acts of wickedness perpetrated by malignant narcissists and organized malevolent groups. The videos in this series will cover the topics disclosed in the upcoming book, Daddy's Pawn, Daddy's Target. How did it all start? The answer to this question is complicated. My suspicions are based on experiential and physical evidence. Maybe it started before my birth. I don't have all the answers, but I hope, with the help of others, we can find and weed out more of the truth. I know that I've been a targeted Christian for many years. In the early years, it may have been confined to the spiritual realm only. It's become clear that it turned to more physical people, doing more overt acts against my immediate family. I'll be the first to admit that when I found out what was going on, I became very cynical, jaded. As a Christian, I've worked on forgiving. I do think that forgiveness does not mean there shouldn't be exposure of their deeds. There should be an investigation for the sake of justice, not only for my family, but for the other potential victims' families. For most of my life, I was a total daddy's girl. When my dad passed away in 2004, I honored him with a heartfelt eulogy, a moment I share in more detail later. Through years of family turmoil and the poisonous stories spun by my sister Vicky, my mother, and my stepmother, my dad stood firmly by my side. That is, until the day everything shifted. There were two people who threatened me, saying they and their group of friends would come after me to destroy me. One of those people was my psycho sister Vicky. If someone tells you who they are, believe them. When I was 17, I told my sister Vicky that I didn't want to hang out with her and her druggy friends. It was boring, and I'd never liked it. I hated to be around drugs and alcohol, and I didn't like that Vicky would promise not to ask me to do them, only to ask again and again, then get mad at me for refusing. She thought she was humiliating me by saying, "This is my sister Julie, she's sweet and innocent." Like not doing drugs or sleeping around was a bad thing. I wasn't bothered by it like she wanted. I was working as a secretary in my dad's law firm. My car was in the repair shop. My sister Vicky called me at work and offered to give me a ride home. I politely declined her offer. She called back and begged me to let her give me a ride home, promising me that she would take me straight home. Next, my mother called and told me to be a good sister and let Vicky give me a ride home. I gave in to her pleas. She picked me up from work and quickly drove straight to her drug dealer boyfriend's house. She threatened and begged me to go into the house with her, but I refused. I started walking home. She pulled up next to me and apologized and asked me to get back in her car. When I did, she started driving. She grabbed me by my hair, pulled my head down onto her lap. She held onto my hair with her left hand and punched my head and breasts over and over. She was blowing right through intersections with stop signs. Finally, she came to a red light with cars going through and she had to stop. She must have noticed someone coming and she let go of my hair for a second. I jumped out of her car just as she was taking off. She followed me for miles. A few minutes later, she made threats to me.
"Ever since you were born, I've hated you. Dad always pays attention to you. You've always been Dad's favorite. I hate you with your blonde hair and no freckles. Johnny has agreed to help me ruin you. You'll see. I have people who will help me come after you, and any kid you have, I will make you pay."
I didn't believe her at that time. I told her she was crazy. People wouldn't actually help her target me and my children for the rest of my life. I knew nothing about covens, and I didn't know about her involvement in them. Shockingly, 10 years later, the other person who threatened me was my own father. A decade after Vicky's bizarre threats, her schemes grew bolder. When she learned my father had promised me an equal share of the inheritance alongside my stepmother's children, and that she and our two brothers from our parents' marriage would get nothing, the stage was set for betrayal. This situation provided my stepmother, my mother, and my siblings to join forces with my unfaithful husband to turn my father against me. Their web of lies somehow succeeded, and my father chose their side. The rest of this tangled tale is yet to come. In a bizarre turn, My father warned me.
Unless you do as I say and return to Donnie, my powerful group of friends will stalk you for the rest of your life and do everything possible to hold you back and ensure you never succeed at anything.
During this horrific time, my dad flatly denied and avoided any discussion about what his own attorney had revealed to me, that Donald had been involved with a prostitute, starring together in disturbing videos. I was shocked to discover that something as bizarre as ugly people, porn videos even existed. My dad later apologized for letting himself be deceived by my evil sister, his wife, and others. But by then, the harm to my daughter and me was already irreversible, casting a long shadow over our lives. Sadly, he insisted he could not recall most of what he had done. This is fully explained in future disclosures done in the order events occurred. Skipping forward, in 2007, two things happened at the same time. First, two of my children and I volunteered for the Republican presidential campaign. After Sarah Palin joined the John McCain campaign, we volunteered. We were never fans of McCain, but we believed the other side hated America and Americans. Life was hard enough, and the last thing we needed was for our electricity bills to rise necessarily. The small attacks were happening often. Our van's tires would have a screw driven into the sidewalls practically every week. We would leave the campaign office in downtown Castle Rock and be followed to the store. Then, our van would be keyed, and at least one tire would be flattened. The vandalism happened at least once a week, sometimes 2 days in a row. The second thing was that my oldest daughter started dating a man named Stephen Goodbread. The first time I met him, I knew he was pure evil. I didn't know what kind of evil, or its depth. I just knew he was a bad guy. I quietly told my daughter of my impression. I didn't yell or make a massive deal about it, as depicted by my lying ex-husband. I just told her. In the past, she told me, "Mom, why are you always right about guys? How do you always know when they are bad?" I told her, maybe it's because I made such huge mistakes in who I trusted when I was young, and learned from them. I really felt that I had grown spiritually over the years, and I thought it was the Holy Spirit telling or warning me. My daughter Melissa confided that Stephen despised me. She was worried that he and his brother had the means and enough hatred to harm me. She began to suspect him of bad things on her own. It was her gut, or God, telling her. Melissa says her dad worked obsessively to brainwash her by repeating over and over each day that I jumped to crazy conclusions and made crazy accusations. She knew deep down that my suspicions were well-founded in the truth of what her dad had done to her, and that what he had done was much worse than what I suspected. She didn't want to think of it, and tried hard to block it out. She had not yet disclosed exactly what her dad had done to her at that time. She had alluded to it when she was 15, but said she was not ready to talk about it. I knew he had done something very bad when she said that she was worried I would kill him. She said it had already been done, and she didn't want me to go to prison for the rest of my life. It became an unspoken understanding that we had, that her dad had done something to her when she was young. In early 2008, Melissa called me and asked that I meet her to tell me about her worries about Stephen. When I arrived, she got out of the car where Stephen and her daughter sat and got into my van. She was very shaken as she told me that she witnessed Stephen using the same manipulation tactics her dad had used on her. Stephen and her daughter sat in the car next to us, talking to each other without turning their heads. It was very strange. I told her that Stephen would turn her suspicions onto me and claim that I put it all in her head. I told her that he would try to make her banish me from her life. She said she had these suspicions on her own, and she just needed to talk to me because I was the only one who would believe her. She said everyone said she was crazy for suspecting him. She said she knew they would all try to get her to turn against me, but she would never ever let that happen. She said, "Mom, you're the only one I can count on to be there for me. They are all pushing me to marry him. They are pushing so hard, it's suspicious. I don't know what to do." When Stephen realized that Melissa suspected him, he took action. The same people who had once tried to brainwash her against me when she was young, using trauma-based mind control, went into action. Stephen and these people convinced her to banish me from her life. They told her God wanted her to leave and cleave. They convinced her that Stephen was good, and I was interfering in their relationship. They succeeded even though she had her suspicions totally apart from me. They painted Stephen as the hero and me as the obstacle in their relationship. I was aware that the people aligned with Stephen, like my ex-husband and my extended family, hated me. And I knew they were evil. They had already won in the battle to have me disinherited. I didn't understand why they would continue to plot against my daughter and granddaughter. Unfortunately, it turned out I was right about Stephen Goodbread being pure evil. About 3 years after this ordeal, my daughter caught Stephen in an evil act and turned him in to the police. He was convicted and sentenced to prison. He did not get life as promised by the Denver DA. He is now a registered PDF file. My daughter did not want me to attend Stephen's trial. She said he already blamed me for the exposure of his crimes, and my life would be in danger. At that time, Stephen's brother worked for the Hillary campaign, back when her office allegedly had a program called Kill 'Em While They're Young for young conservative children. Almost instantly, my other children and I faced hostility at my daughter's gymnastics facility. Optional gymnasts' parents approached me secretly to tell me that my children's lives were in danger from Coach James Gomez. Someone put contaminated water in my daughter's small water bottle, and we had to leave. Unbeknownst to us, the reason for the relentless attacks was a mystery until we uncovered their shared history. The main coach leading the charge had once attended high school with both Stephen Goodbread and his brother Jonathan. Stephen's friends were attacking Melissa online, calling her every vile name in the book. They all claimed Stephen was innocent, even though the evidence against him was overwhelming. We were told coaches James and Lisa and others contacted every other gym in Colorado and told them we were bigots. Of course, they didn't tell anyone that we were called this because of turning in an actual PDF file. My kids were blackballed and persecuted at every gym. These events will be explained in later videos. I initially tried to start a YouTube channel back in 2017 to bring awareness to the culture of silence around abuse in gymnastics. It isn't right to blackball good, hardworking children just because a coach or an owner makes accusations against them. How do these people know who is correct? If the accused child and family is connected through accusations their sister made against the friend of the coach, and those accusations are backed up by law enforcement and they were found guilty in court, it should be a no-brainer. It was around this time when we realized that the connection between the crazy things that happened to me and my firstborn Melissa and the current attacks on my other children had a strong connection. In 1993, I filed for divorce against Melissa's evil father and married my current husband of more than 30 years. Our other 4 children were persecuted as a result of the targeting against Melissa and our family. This is our daughter, Alexis. Because of Alexis's persistence and love of gymnastics through years of extreme persecution, by some miracle, she made it to the level 9 state meet with a good coach, Dina Kamilova. Dina wasn't allowing people to get her to persecute Alexis. Tragically, Alexis got what her doctor later called a double concussion about 30 hours before the state meet, shown here. Because of all the persecution she'd gone throughout the years, she didn't tell me that her head was hurting badly and she could barely see. She wanted to see it through. She qualified for regionals, even though CGI, the gym holding the meet, tried to say she did not. Dina had to show them that Alexis did qualify. They did successfully keep her from being acknowledged at the awards ceremony. That's the mode of operation of these gyms. An urgent care doctor had cleared her to compete, but he was wrong. Her pediatrician, who saw her as soon as his office was open, made her rest until her symptoms were gone, which was over a year. She had to miss regionals because of this double concussion, and she and her sister were only able to be with Dina for a few months. She and her sister were targeted in bizarre ways at many gyms. For years, my immediate family and I have allegedly endured attacks from my malicious extended family, my ex-husband Donald, my ex-son-in-law Stephen, and many others. Because of the deep connections between these people, they must be exposed. With Melissa's blessing, I am ready to share our story. Everything disclosed in these videos and my upcoming book is alleged and my opinion. God bless each of you, and thank you for watching. I hope our true story will shed light on these revenge for hire programs and help others facing the same hidden battles. If you want to follow our journey toward justice, don't miss the next video in this series. You can help spread the word by liking, sharing, and subscribing. And if you feel moved to support the channel further, you'll find a donation link in the description. Thank you again for watching and standing with us.